Hello YouTube, CryptoHobo here, and some people call me the Crypto Jesus, but I don't claim to be anybody's savior. Welcome to my brand new channel, which aims to deliver education and information on blockchain, cryptocurrency, economics and finance in a simple and easy to digest fashion. My personal opinion is that education systems ultimately fail people from a young age by failing to provide sufficient education and information on extremely important topics such as economics and finance, which really underpin everything that we do in life. They're super important to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. But in regular schooling from a young age, many of us, I would say most of us, probably don't get any sort of real, tangible education on these issues. And so we leave school, we go into the world of work and life, and we're not really well equipped to deal with these things. Now, this ultimately contributes to people making poor financial decisions or feeling they lack the ability, knowledge, or power to change and improve their financial circumstances. Now, we live in a modern world that's unsustainably fueled by debt. We're encouraged to get into debt in order to maintain our lifestyles, and in a lot of cases it's kind of unavoidable, right? We want to get a degree, we probably need some student debt. We want to get a house, we probably need a mortgage. We want to get a car, maybe we need a loan. The boiler breaks at an inconvenient time. What can you do? It has to be fixed. So out comes the credit card or emergency loans, this kind of thing. Ultimately, we all have to interact and have some degree of relationship with finance and with debt. And this is really unsustainable. And it's probably the root cause of a lot of anxiety and stress in people's lives. Certainly from my perspective, I can honestly say that not understanding the economic world around me has definitely led to me making poor decisions and feeling quite anxious and stressed about the future because I don't really understand what's going on in these seemingly weird markets that are out of the reach of the common person, it seems. It seems like these things are for the rich guys, rich guys' playground. And ultimately, nobody wants to go to work all day and then come home tired, anxious, stressed, more so than maybe when they went to work in the morning, right? Just because we have more outgoings than incoming, or the margins are so thin that we don't really have much of a security net. I don't think it's any stretch to say that most people feel that they can't afford to save these days. I read a statistic recently where something like 40% of all Americans have less than $1,000 in their personal bank accounts, including savings, which is mind-blowing, really. That's a recipe for disaster. And there's a whole load of reasons for this, and some of those things we can do something about, even if it's just understanding what's going on. And ultimately it comes down to putting food on the table, and putting fuel in the car, putting clothes on your children's backs, not even luxuries, you know, these are essentials for daily living, for well-being, for survival, for prosperity. And, you know, we're all kind of, well, lots of people are struggling at this level, which again is unsustainable. I personally feel that it adds a lot of anxiety and depression, and this is bad for the brain, you know. If we're anxious and we're stressed, this releases stress hormones in the brain, and like cortisol, and ultimately this can lead to poor mood, lack of well-being, and poor decision making. So it becomes this whole cyclical issue. Now, I must state from the outset that I'm not a financial advisor, and none of my content is going to be financial advice. My aim is to deliver content that empowers you to be able to do your own research and to be able to understand the complex terminologies and concepts which can often scare people away from engaging in this kind of stuff like economics and finance, and ultimately leaves people without a kind of weapon in their arsenal to use for their own benefit, right? So what I aim to do is to deliver different types of content across all sorts of different social media platforms, from short, really simple clips on TikTok to kind of longer interviews, maybe podcasts, going through charts and explaining what they mean, longer form content on YouTube, which will involve a lot of discussion, and this will be, some of it will be aimed very specifically at beginners, and some of it will be a little bit more technical. But even with the technical ones, my aim along the way is to not leave anybody behind, and so that everybody is able to take away at least something of value for themselves from every single piece of content that I put out there. This is going to be things like Twitch also. I know a lot of people love gaming, and gaming comes into this kind of stuff a lot, including something called game theory of money and economics, which we'll go into in a different video. But ultimately, you can think of the economy as a kind of a living organism, just like the human body. Each part has its own function, but each part is reliant on all of the other parts to be healthy in order for the system overall to be healthy. And so my job is to try and help you understand how to have the healthiest system that you can have, right? Now, my motivation is to provide you with the knowledge, the resources, and the tools that you need so you can better understand the economic world around you, and you can react to changes in your environment and make better decisions for yourselves and your loved ones. Now, there's loads and loads of YouTube channels already out there covering these kinds of topics. So you might be wondering why I've decided to start one myself. Now, I've been watching a lot of these for quite a long time, and some of them are good, some of them not so good. But I do think there's a gap and some failings in all of them, some limitations, and I aim to plug that gap. For example, There can be videos on cryptocurrency, there's videos on economics, there's videos on finance, there's videos on bonds, all sorts of different things. But I haven't come across anybody who actually brings all of that stuff together in one place, on one platform, in one channel, where people can easily bring all of these things together like a jigsaw instead of treating them as these all separate kind of issues, because that's where the cracks in our understanding tend to come, I think. If we can see something as this whole interlinking system, we can start to see how things flow, we can start to see where we are in that system, where we want to be in that system, and how we can manipulate it, how we can navigate it to our own advantage and for our own betterment, right? That's what we all want, is to improve our lifestyle for ourselves, our loved ones. We want to live happy, peaceful lives with relative abundance. We want enough food, we want enough money to be able to enjoy ourselves, enjoy our lives. That's not much to ask. Now, some of the cryptocurrency channels in particular I've followed do have a lot of really useful information, but there has been a tendency for a lot of the channels to go down this same route of chasing likes and chasing subscribers with clickbait titles, making unrealistic predictions on things like price, making what I feel are maybe sometimes somewhat unethical promotions of certain projects or certain investment ideas or strategies, which I personally do not feel comfortable with, because ultimately the best strategy for anybody is the one that you are most comfortable with. It has to fit your own financial situation. It has to fit in with your own time, your own requirements, your own targets, goals, dreams, aspirations, all of these kind of things. And nobody can really design a strategy for you that's perfect for you. It might work for them, and it might work for you, but there's no guarantee, and that is a super risky way to approach anything important, in my opinion. And another thing is that a lot of them involve things called pump and dumps, which is when they will basically promote a project or a token or investment idea so that their viewers will go ahead and buy it. And when their viewers are buying, they're pumping up the price and they are selling. So they're making profit off their unsuspecting viewers, which personally I think is a bit immoral and a bit unethical. So I am going to try and completely avoid anything like that. I don't really want to be going down any of those avenues. I want to just be putting out simple to understand content, which is educational and informative and empowering. Now, the price of success of these people is another issue as well. This is something I want to touch on, because a lot of YouTubers who are super successful, now they're super successful, they don't see things. It's really hard for them to see things in the same way that me and you see things. You know, if they've made a lot of money from their investments, or from the opportunities that have opened up to them from being influencers and this kind of thing, ultimately it puts them in a different position from the rest of their viewers, both financially and from a knowledge base. So they can take risks, or they can make decisions which For them, maybe if it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. But for somebody like myself, who still has holes in their clothes, or yourselves, who, probably in a fairly similar situation to myself as a working class, blue collar type person, those kind of decisions, if they go wrong for us, can be disastrous. Sometimes people find it really hard to bounce back from those kind of things. So that's an unintended consequence, I suppose, as well as their knowledge. It's really hard once you've studied something and learned so much about a topic that you've got all of this knowledge, but you're then trying to talk about these things and discuss them with people who are maybe beginners and don't have anywhere near the same level of knowledge as you do. And this is unavoidable to a certain extent if you don't have experience in communicating things to other people on their level. Now, whilst I said I'm not an economist or a chartered accountant or a financial advisor in any way, I am qualified in both law and education. So I've got a bachelor's degree in law, and I've got international teaching certificates, and I've done a fair amount of teaching, mostly on a volunteer basis, around the world. I've been very fortunate to travel and to experience other cultures and to attempt to teach things like English and blockchain technology, music, to people who ultimately do not speak English as their first language. So, what I've noticed is that this puts me in a fairly unique position in that I am very conscious of the fact that I need to keep my communication simple. If my viewers or my students or somebody who is listening to me doesn't understand what I'm explaining, in my perspective, that's on me. It's my failing, and I need to make some adjustments to change that. And this is kind of my philosophy. If you don't understand something, basically I haven't done my job properly, and the blame rests with me. Because I don't believe that there's anything about any of this seemingly complex information and stuff that literally anybody can understand if it's discussed and explained and presented in an effective way. So, if any of that sounds good to you, slap a like down below, and please subscribe to the channel for more content as it comes. You'll find links below in the video description for pretty much everything that I've got up and running at the moment. And these links will be updated as new videos come out. There's all the social media channels, and the point of this really is for you to be able to stay up to date with the latest content, no matter what your preferred choice of medium is, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, whatever. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, please do hang in there. I wish you all a beautiful day. Stay safe, be happy, peace, love, and prosperity. Thank you.